Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into what it actually takes to build a truly resilient mind. We're skipping the corporate buzzwords and getting straight to the concrete, actionable tools that help you thrive under pressure, and finally escape that paralyzing grip of perfectionism. We are essentially going to architect a growth mindset from the ground up.
Okay, let's dive into this. A growth mindset isn't just a nice idea or some motivational poster. It's a literal biological reality. You have roughly 86 billion neurons up there. And when you operate with the belief that your abilities can actually improve through effort, you're triggering neuroplasticity. Every time you tackle something hard or push through a failure, you're literally building and reinforcing brand new neural pathways. You're physically building a smarter, stronger brain.
So here is our blueprint for today. We're going to master 4 practical mindset shifts: progress over perfection, the education of struggle, practicing flexible confidence, and managing your internal dialogue.
Starting right off with Pillar 1, progress over perfection. This is absolutely foundational. To build a real growth mindset, you absolutely have to let go of the need to be flawless. A fixed mindset creates total paralysis. You tell yourself, I'm afraid of making mistakes, because, well, a mistake feels like a permanent strike against your character, right? But a growth mindset flips that script entirely to mistakes help me to learn. It reframes those inevitable mess-ups as vital data points for improvement. It's a strategic advantage that lets you iterate and adapt faster than anyone else.
Because the truth is, perfect doesn't exist, and chasing it just leads to massive stress and anxiety. You've really got to embrace the philosophy that done is better than perfect. Adopting this mantra dramatically lowers your barrier to action. It gives you the permission to just start, to make a mess, and to learn from it without feeling like you failed.
So quick gut check before we move on. Are you holding yourself to an impossible standard right now? Think about a project or a decision you've been putting off simply because you're terrified it won't be flawless. If perfection is your baseline, you are literally standing in the way of your own growth.
Moving on to Pillar 2, the education of struggle. This is where we completely shift our perspective on hard times. Instead of looking at a really difficult season of struggle as proof that you aren't good enough, you have to reframe it as an active period of learning. I love this approach. Tell yourself, I am in the trenches getting my education. It takes all the sting out of the hardship. It reminds you that this friction is just an essential part of your education. It's happening for you, not to you.
And this totally changes how you handle stress. You start to view pressure not as some permanent roadblock, but simply as a temporary hurdle. It's just an obstacle you have to overcome to keep moving forward. Once you realize that most of this pressure is just internal noise, you can calmly figure out the mechanics of how to jump over it.
And here's a massive cheat code for jumping those hurdles: the word yet. By simply tacking yet onto the end of a limiting belief, like changing I don't understand this to I don't understand this yet, you honor where you are right now, but you keep absolute faith in where you're going. It's a tiny, almost playful linguistic shift, but it works wonders for keeping your brain open to finding solutions.
All right, Pillar 3, practicing flexible confidence. Let's talk about adaptability.
Real confidence isn't about strutting into a room knowing you're 100% right all the time. It's having the flexible security to know you can adjust your tactics without your ego taking a massive hit. It's the ability to adapt your approach when things get weird or uncertain without getting rigidly attached to your original plan.
The ultimate flex here is knowing that very few decisions are actually fatal. When you remind yourself, even if I make the wrong decision, we can still pivot, you instantly deflate your own anxiety. You free yourself from the trap of overthinking because you trust your primary skill, your ability to adjust on the fly.
And it's super important to separate this from basic resilience. See, resilience gives you the grit to endure hardship and keep pushing. But flexible confidence, that's what allows you to change direction while you're pushing. You can be incredibly resilient and just keep banging your head against a brick wall. Flexible confidence is what taps you on the shoulder and says, hey, let's try the door.
A great way to practice this is by finding a personal power phrase. You use this to bridge the gap between whatever self-doubt you're feeling right now and what the gritty 2.0 version of you is fully capable of achieving. It keeps your mind agile and open to pivoting.
Which brings us to our final structural support, Pillar 4, managing your internal dialogue. This is the daily maintenance required to keep all of this standing.
To sustain this kind of mental endurance, I want you to visualize your self-esteem as a bucket.
To keep a growth mindset strong, you have to proactively identify the harsh, negative self-talk that essentially puts holes in your bucket. Once you spot what's draining your confidence, you have to actively brainstorm what you can do or say to mend the hole. And then intentionally fill that bucket right back up with positive, growth-oriented affirmations.
This feeds directly into a highly effective practice called cognitive restructuring. It's basically a step-by-step method for rewiring your internal narrative. First, you catch the negative thought in real time. Second, you play detective and look for actual evidence that proves the thought wrong. And third, you replace it with a balanced, positive affirmation.
Actually writing this down on paper is huge. When you list the evidence supporting and contradicting your inner critic, you totally strip away the heavy, reactive emotion. It forces your logical, rational brain to take the wheel, giving you a much more grounded perspective on the situation.
And when you replace that critical thought with a deliberate affirmation like, "I can do anything I put my mind to," you aren't just giving yourself a pep talk. You are actively sealing the holes in your self-esteem bucket. You're generating the mental stamina you need to tackle whatever the next level of hard looks like for you.
So as we wrap up this explainer, remember that this mental architecture is a continuous build. By choosing progress over perfection, by reframing your struggles as your education, by maintaining flexible confidence, and by fiercely guarding your internal dialogue, you are literally blooming new pathways of resilience. You are fundamentally upgrading your brain's hardware.
Keep this blueprint handy. As you go into your next big professional challenge, ask yourself, which of these 4 pillars are you going to lean on? Are you going to let an impossible standard hold you back? Or are you going to use that friction to build something stronger? The blueprint is in your hands. What you build next is entirely up to you.